All right, for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another one of my own personal Junkbots builds rather than one of the established ones that actually is, part of the toy line. Because, that's kind of the fun of these guys, is that you take them apart and you can make your own guys. And yeah, this is one that I call Tightan. And to be totally honest with you, I cannot remember why I named him that. Probably because he's got a clamp hand, so it can tighten. I don't know. A lot of these Junkbots names anyway are kind of just like the first thing that pops into anyone's head. So that's kind of the approach that I took when naming these guys. Is just, I don't know, the first thing that I think of, that just to give them a random name. Doesn't matter so much. Really, the build itself is the cooler thing. But yeah, it's using the factory collection body that they use for Pompier, the elephant. It's used for another one too. I think its name is Cole, where it's like upright like this, and these are actually the eyes. But for this build, I decided to kind of flip it upside down. I'm still not totally sure what this piece is supposed to be. Some kind of like retro, like floor buffer or vacuum or something like that. Maybe. I don't know. That is really just a total random guess. It could also be some sort of industrial machinery or something. I'm not sure. But either way, it's kind of a cool looking part nonetheless. He's using the jack static head here, specifically the Series 2 one that has the extra kind of tampos on there, which is, kind of like a radio or something like that. He's got a clamp here for one of his hands, which I think is pretty cool. One of his feet is the iron piece. I like that piece a lot. And then this leg here, he's got an umbrella coming out for the bottom leg, and then a little brick at the bottom. And the rest of the parts are pretty much just, generic machine parts and stuff like that. I really like, using the jack static head. Obviously there's a risk of having him look like too much like jack static, so that's why I added these antennae here to kind of give him a different vibe, and I think it works pretty well. In terms of articulation, the head can rotate. Obviously the arms and everything can rotate. He's a lot of ball joints, just like every other Junkbot. Both of his arms here, they can't really like straighten out more than they are. They kind of have to be at least a little bit bent. Well, I don't know, that one can kind of, but that's okay. I kind of like the look here of him having these bent elbows, and this knee too also has to be bent, and he stands surprisingly well. I thought that this one would be one that kind of just like crumples under his own weight most of the time, but works pretty well. In terms of the modules, now this one I don't think works particularly well with most of the modules. For the vibration module, which frankly doesn't work super well with most Junkbots, it kind of just, I don't know, he jitters around a little bit, makes him fall over. The usual with bipedal Junkbots and the vibration module just doesn't really do a whole lot, but whatever. That's there's nothing wrong with that. For the motor module, I didn't really use the like actual functionality of the body type with the motor module. It just makes these bits on the side spin, which essentially does nothing for the robot since nothing is plugged into those. So, not really, wasn't really a priority when building this guy, but, worth mentioning what would work with that if there was anything plugged into it. And then for the LED module, this is really the only one that I think actually functions with this guy. And then now that I say that, I realize, no, not really, because I've kind of covered up the ports that the LED module would go into in his head. So maybe you can get those on the top here. I'm not sure. It seems like there's something that can do. Does that actually light anything up? A little. All right. And then you can plug it into the same bits at the bottom here, but it kind of just makes his crotch light up. So I don't know that that's like the best look in the world, but that works well enough. At least it has some light functionality unlike the other two modules in which they really do nothing for him. But yeah, in general, I would say that in this particular build, the modules aren't overly exciting. It's more just for the build itself, and I like his little weird sort of not really a hunchback vibe, but he's kind of like he has to hunch over a little bit just because of how, one of his legs is longer than the other, so it has to perpetually be bent, and he's got this weird little pose, and I kind of like it, and that's good enough for me. In terms of comparisons, just for the standard ones, here he is with Bumblebee and Soundwave for a G1 Minibot and a core class transformer there. Here he is with a BotBot, and here he is with Jack Static with whom he shares a head. And, you know, that's kind of the fun of Junkbots is like, even if you're using the same parts essentially for the same things, like they can still have totally different sort of like characters about them just based on the rest of the vibe that they've got going on. And I think that works pretty well. But yeah, you know, not a whole lot else to this guy. Pretty simple. Just, you know, if you like the way this guy looks, you can kind of see what parts he's using there, and maybe build them yourself if you've got the parts for him. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this guy. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have my custom build for Hexbug Junkbots, and this one I call Tightan.